Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel and welcome to Creem. So today we're going to give you a quick platform overview. Now let's talk about integrating with Creem, especially developers out there that want to integrate with Creem using the API, which is obviously the most common approach here for people that are selling subscriptions or SaaS online. So for you to integrate with Creem, it's extremely easy as well. There's one endpoint that is the one that you need to think about the most, and it's going to be the checkout endpoint. Now for you to use the checkout endpoints, there's going to be a couple requirements. The first one is that you have already created the product before using either the API or the Creem platform, and you need an API key. The API key can be accessed through the developer's dashboard within Creem. You're going to see that on the top right of your screen. By clicking on that developers button, you're going to go into the developers section of the Creem website, and you will notice that your API key is going to be blurred and hidden. Obviously for security purpose, you can just click on the I button and it's going to reveal it for you. And now you got the API key, we just need to grab the product ID. Go to the products page, you're going to see 3 dots after each product that you have created before. You can simply click on it and click on copy product ID. Now we have both the product ID and the API keys, and we are ready to use the checkout sessions API. For you to create a checkout session, it's extremely easy. You are going to do a post API request to this URL you're seeing, and you are going to pass the product ID. We are going to fetch all the information of that specific product directly. You don't need to pass any price or any other product description, and we're going to create that checkout session URL for you. We're then going to return that URL for you that you can redirect the user to. So in summary, we're going to grab the product ID, we're going to grab the API keys, and we're going to make a post request to the checkout session API of Creem. Creem is then going to give you a URL back that you can then redirect the user to. And now let's go one step forward and try to close this life cycle. When you are redirecting the customer to that checkout session URL, sometimes you want to keep track of which one of your customers was actually redirected on that specific session. For that, you can either use the metadata field within the Creem API, or you can use a request ID. As you can see on the screen, it's a very simple process, and you can simply add that on the body of that post request. When Creem comes back to you or communicates regarding that specific purchase or order, we're always going to include that request ID and that metadata. Now let's say that you redirected the customer to that checkout session URL and the customer has completed the purchase. Well, the customer is then going to get redirected to a payment success page, as you're seeing there on the screen. And after that payment success page, in case you have added a redirect URL when creating your product, your user is then going to get redirected to that. Now, in here, we have 2 very different approaches that you can take. You can either consume the order details through the return URL, or you can do that through the webhooks. Now, let's talk a little bit about the return URL first. Remember when we said that the customers would get redirected to that return URL? Well, they are going to get redirected there, but not only that, we are going to also bring all the attributes of that specific purchase with it. So that return URL, let's say that we set up as google.com, that return is going to look something like this. So you can notice on the screen that we not only have google.com, we also have the order ID, the customer ID, and in case you have added as well, the request ID. So you can use all these parameters on the URL to verify and validate that customer that previously purchased from you, and importantly, you can also verify the request from Creem. We also send a signature, as you can see on the screen, that you can use with your API key to validate that request and all those other parameters as well. Now, if you prefer a webhook approach, that's also extremely simple. Remember when we went to the developers tab on the Creem dashboard? You're going to notice that there's going to be a webhook tab on the Creem platform. Simply click on it and click on add webhook. You're then going to be able to register your webhook URL, which we are going to send requests to every time a customer has completed the purchase. This request that Creem is going to send to you is going to include all the information that you need to be able to process that customer and reconcile and synchronize that with the payment state. That webhook request is also going to come with our signature, which we highly recommend that you verify. But in summary, you are going to receive different types of webhook events. You can take a deeper look at what events we send on docs.creem.io, but in summary, we are going to send you events every time a payment is completed or renewed or cancelled or expired. Now, there are different edge cases, and I highly recommend that you take a look at the website, but in summary, you can simply take a look at the webhook types and start consuming them on your application. Now, let's wrap up the checkout sessions and integrations. The life cycle of integrating Creem with your platform is going to then look like: create a checkout session post API request through Creem API, receive the checkout session URL, redirect your user to the checkout session URL, wait for our user to complete the purchase, and then either consume the query parameters on the return URL or consume the webhook events that were sent to your platform. And that's it. And for us to also wrap up the checkout session API request, I'm also going to put on the screen right now different ways that you can call the API, including calling checkout sessions with metadata, calling checkout sessions with a different success URL for a different redirection, or calling a checkout session with a specific customer email that is already pre-filled and the customer cannot change, calling a checkout session with an already applied discount code for your customer, and for the last one, also calling a checkout session for seat-based billing models, where you can actually pass the quantity and the unit of the product that the customer is purchasing. Well, this was a quick intro. Thanks a lot for watching, and we hope to see you soon. Bye bye.